All right, so we're practicing gradation. We're filling in the shapes using a slow and steady change from light to dark. Remember, guys, it's not a value scale where it's a big jump from one to the other, but instead real smooth using all of your pencils, your light pencils, leaving a little bit of white area going to dark. And just like we see here in this example, every single shape in this example, you can see this little area started dark and it went to light, and then over here where the eye is, or the face, where I'm pointing with the pencil, it was dark going to light. So every single shape is going to have a gradation, a slow and steady change from light to dark. So again, make sure that when you're doing this, that if you have an area that meets, that you want, for example, this one, I've started it, I've done 2 or 3 here. When I start this next one, I don't want to put dark where I'm pointing going to light, because then I'm going to lose that edge, I'm going to lose the boundary. Instead, I want to alternate it. So by using my pencils, 2 or 3 pencils here, and my shading tools, I'm going to leave pure white and then slowly fade with a lighter one going here to dark. And so I go back and erase some areas if I need to, but just kind of a medium gray all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to switch pencils and see if I can make it seamless, just like we see up there. Oh, it's a smooth transition is what we're looking for. And then at the end, very, very dark. Get as dark as you can with maybe a 7 or an 8B pencil. And that will also add depth and dimension to your drawing. So when you have darks like that, it really pulls it out and makes it look more 3D. So here I have just, you can also use a piece of paper, something like that, to just kind of pull it together. And I'll, working from the top down, so I'll do this side here, making sure I leave white of the paper, slowly fading it. Now you can also start light in the middle and then darker on the edges, or you could do light all around and then dark, or dark all around and light in the middle, or light all around, dark in the middle, or you could start light, go to dark, and then go back to light. Or you can just kind of do it like I'm showing you here, which is kind of a standard gradation. I'll leave it up to you how you want to do that. I'll leave that one up to you, but I definitely want you to try to alternate it if you can. So if you have one area that's dark, you're going to alternate and go to light. This one on the side here was a really big shape, going all the way down to the bottom. Now you can also change how much dark and how much light. So for example, you could do a big, big area of dark, a little bit of medium, and a tiny amount of light, or you could reverse it. This one, it almost looks like seaweed, and or something moving in the back where the fish is. And those shapes, you know, they kind of represent shadows and different things. Sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what it is. And move on to the next. So next to the next. So there's probably about, you know, five or 10 at the top, and there's different layers. Now when you look here, this is the fish. We don't want to lose the fish, so you know, it's going to blend in if you're not careful. So you want to try to pick the way that you shade, you know, be creative with it. So for example, here where I'm pointing with the eye, you know, you might want to leave a little bit more of the white, you know, around here so you could see, you know, kind of like in this example. If you make it too dark all around, you won't be able to see the eye. So those are just some personal choices you guys can make. Now on this one, it's real dark at the end, so I'm going to leave a little bit of white space and just fade real quick over to the side, like this. And then, same thing, I'm going to leave some light here. Try not to make it look too scratchy. Try to go real smooth. If you use a mechanical pencil, it kind of makes it scratchy, so that's why we like these art pencils. You can change it. It doesn't have to look just like mine. You can be creative with yours. Change it a little bit. As long as you have the gradation, then it's fine. Use the blending tool or a paper towel. You can fold it up. It's kind of like a triangle shape. If you have a paper towel, works too. All right, so on to the next one. So here's a great example where I'm pointing. I don't want to do dark right at the edge there. Definitely not. Leave a little space of white all the way to the corner. Keep the pencil as flat as possible. This one has a few shapes. You can just kind of draw a line straight across like this. Up here, a few more shapes right there. If your form is curved, I'm going to show you here in just a sec with the fish. When you shade, try to shade in the direction of the form. So if you remember, if you were, let's say you were going to draw a sphere, for example. Well, when you shade the sphere, you'd want to shade in a circle. If you try to shade the sphere just going across in an angle, it's going to flatten it. So if you look here, for example, it's not a sphere, but it's kind of curving a little bit, the fish. So then, therefore, you would want to kind of shade this direction where it's kind of arcing. It's arcing a little bit. And so I'm going to show you right here. Normally I'll do all the ones on the top, but I just wanted to show you this particular one. I'm going to kind of shade in this direction here. And so I'm going to start light at the bottom. And you see how it's kind of shading it at a half circle, kind of arcing like that. I'm not going straight across. I want to shade in the direction of the fish, the way the fish is going. So it's kind of curving this way. Now just add to the realism if you do that. Let's try to do that. So over here, be a little darker at the top. And then try if you can get, this one happens to be an 8B, but I'm going to press real hard way at the top and it gets pitch black. So try to go from as dark as you possibly can to just pure white of the paper. And then that's going to have a nice gradation. You can see, but I was shading again. I was shading kind of like in a little curve. If I put an arrow, it was kind of going like this. It was kind of going this direction. Okay, so I recommend doing that on all the forms. And if it's a circle, try to shade in a circle. If you just shade the same direction, it'll flatten it out. And same thing, I'll do this one right here. Now this one where I'm pointing, I don't want to go dark right here where I'm pointing because it's going to flatten it out. So I'm going to leave a big area of white. And this one, it kind of looks sort of the fish is going, see how it's kind of curving this way. I'm going with my arm, my hand. So I'm going to shade, now if I draw an arrow, it's going to be like this direction. Okay? But I'm going to leave a little bit of white to start. So now, and there's also that triangle there. So maybe I'll just start right about here, kind of going in this direction. Now there happens to be a little line right here. If you want, you can continue that line. You don't have to, but make its own shape. I think that would make more sense. I'm going to make that kind of its own triangle shape. And then I'm going to, so if you want, you can add a few shapes here and there to this one. I'm shading in the direction of the fish. Going a little darker towards the end. Really make that fish stand out. It was hidden in there behind the seaweed, so we want to use the right gradation so it stands out. Go real dark all the way to the edge. A slow and steady change from light to dark. Go real dark here on this triangle corner. The blending tool. What happens if this blending tool starts to get really dirty? Well, then all you have to do is grab a pair of scissors and just make sure that you don't cut yourself, but you just go at an angle and you just put it kind of at the edge like this, and you just go real hard like this. Okay? See how it's kind of a new point on there, and it's brand new? So then it's all, you know, you could probably cut it 10 times before it gets too small to use anymore. But then you just discard of the other one. And that's a good way. Because sometimes if it's real smudged, like right over here, when you start to shade on the lighter areas, it makes it too dark. So that's just a little tip if it's starting to get real smudged. Okay, and then use the eraser to kind of clean up some of the other areas, the edges. If you're starting to smudge the paper, then just get a scratch paper, piece of white blank paper. I'll just use this one here, fold it in half. This is just this extra paper I had. And then you can just rest your hand while you're shading, and your hand won't smudge it so much. But I don't have to worry here because I started shading from the top down, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But once, you know, if you started shading from the bottom, that's going to be an issue, so then you want to put your hand. Now this one, I don't want this to be lost, and I'm still shading in the direction of the form. So it's a little tricky because there's dark where I'm pointing here and light. So what can I do? Well, I don't want to go super dark in this corner, so what I'm going to do is go light, this one, dark, and then back to light. So it's going to be all three just in one, three changes in one little tiny triangle shape. So I'm going to leave it white right here, okay? And then right over here, it's going to start to fade a little bit to dark, and then I'm going to go back to light. So it's pretty much just going to be dark in the middle on this one. That way, I don't lose too much of the boundary. Okay? Just keep that edge in there. It'll be dark right in the middle. It fades back to light. Okay? That's what I chose to do for that one. You can choose whatever you want. For this triangle, I'm going to try to keep it dark on this side, on this right side. And guess what? If you make a choice and it doesn't look right, you can always erase it. That's the good thing about pencil drawings. Just go right here. This one's going to be dark right here towards the edge. And again, I'm kind of shading in the direction of the fish in the form. And then go real dark right here, right up against the gills. But you see how that stands out? So now we can see all the shapes. They're not hidden. You can see all of those. If you're not careful, you can lose all your shapes. But just look real careful and decide where you want the dark. And if you make an area too dark, just erase it. Like over here, I can just erase a little bit. Bring out the light right here. Okay, so forgot to do this one. Now I want to leave a lot of light right here because I don't want the fish to be hidden. So I'm going to leave just a big light area right here. Shade this way. Okay, so getting a little further along, and let's see that kind of side of the eye. Leave that one light fading to dark towards the edge, like that. And again, alternate. This one be light, and I'm shading in the direction of the form. I gotta start switching to dark right about here. Go real dark at the corner. The eye, you can do it however you want. You know, you could do it darker right in the center and kind of lighter at the outside, but just don't fill it in all dark. Make a decision. On this one, I'm going to alternate it where it's light going to dark right here, this part. I'm going to alternate it. Now this part will be dark. Go. Like that. And what I think I might do is do dark on the middle part and then light on the outside. So I'm just kind of fading it out. Where's the edges? Darker right here. Shading in the direction of the form. Work my way back now because I did kind of the face there. Move to the side. Just take your time, make sure you leave the white of the paper and as dark as you can get it. If it's just, you just do the middle, sometimes people just do the middle parts, they don't really include the white or the real dark, then it just looks a little flat. So. Here, alternate. Sometimes I go back in with the eraser, get it real white. Sometimes that's a good, because they start to get smudged, so if you get a nice eraser with the point, you just kind of go back and look for the parts that were a little smudged and kind of brighten it up. It'll help your drawing. Right over here. Again, so I'm going to reach over. I don't want to smudge it, so I'm just going to get a piece of paper real quick, and that will help me if I have to kind of reach over for a minute so I don't mess up that other part. Or you can just be real careful and kind of hover your hand over. White right here. I'm going to do a shade in the direction. This is a big shape. Get this whole shape here. All right, so that's kind of the idea, and you just want to keep going all the way. Now you can see working our way from the top to the bottom, but quality is going to be better than going too fast in quantity, and making sure you get that full range, making sure you blend with your pencils and your tools, and then go back in with the eraser. Any areas that are a little bit too dark or too light, you can fix it. That's kind of the general area, but general idea, you can kind of have fun with it. All right.